Hey there. Before we jump into today's episode, we want to thank you for tuning into Unapologetically First Gen. This is the podcast where two sisters share what it's like to grow up as first-generation immigrants, everything from the hilarious moments to the heartfelt ones. Each week, we'll bring you personal stories, honest conversations, and amazing guest interviews that celebrate the first-gen experience. So if you love laughing, learning, and feeling connected, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. It really helps us grow. If you want to contribute to episode topics and get exclusive content, join our Patreon linked in the show notes.
Hello, I'm Stacy, the younger sister. I'm a former teacher turned copywriter, cat mom, and slightly obsessed with romantasy books.
And I'm Leslie, the older one, operations expert, home baker, mom to 2 kids and a bunny. Welcome to Unapologetically First Gen. Today is such a special episode. We have our first guest. This here is Remy. He is owner and creative of Remy Be Real, a video editing agency. So Remy, you have such a cool story. You're an immigrant twice over. So you were born in Haiti. You came to the US and you ended up in Ethiopia where you are now. So let's talk about that. Let's start with phase 1, Haiti to the US. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that, funny enough, I was having this conversation with my son and, he turned 6 yesterday and I forget what it was now, but he was like, oh, this was scary. And, I'm afraid to do this. And I was like, well, we all have to do scary things because little bud, when I was 5, I was getting on a plane all by myself coming to the US and it was just paperwork in hand. Coming up, my mom had already immigrated up and had sent for me to come next and, working personally, I think worked herself to death doing the working 2 jobs and going through the system to get me and my sisters to the States. And it was just a process. So from there was going through school and, trying to settle in and learn the language and get familiar with the culture and just so many things that were wholly unfamiliar. Like I still remember seeing snow for the first time and just all those little things that then became second nature. And then settling into it and not realizing how weird so much of this was until the next big leap, getting to Ethiopia and then just realizing, wait, we've done some of this before and it was arguably more traumatic than it could ever be now.
Yeah, I cannot imagine getting on a plane and traveling alone. That must have been so scary. And not knowing the language and not knowing anything about, it's not like you had already been here and you were just, like somebody had already walked you through what was going to happen at the airport. This was all a first and brand new, and your mother was so incredibly brave to leave her kids behind to say, hey, we're going to do stuff differently and we're going to do stuff better for that generation.
It's wild because I feel like I'm channeling so much of that decision into our decision and what that had to have looked like. They're for different reasons, obviously, but to stop and look at the current situation, kind of forecast the reason she decided to make the move. My father had just passed, and for her to raise the 3 of us alone in Haiti, the prospects just didn't seem so great. So I still remember, armed with my 3 whole words of English, I had a couple of notes. So the stewardesses and flight attendants and everybody was super great. My uncle picked me up from the airport, but this guy was trying to talk to me and all I could say was yes, no, and again. The entire time, to any question that he asked. But then complete role reversal, here we are. And yeah, well, our daughter was 7 and our son was 5. And it's well, we're going to uproot everything and make a change because just projecting that this might put us on a better path I don't know certainly, right? Anything can happen. There's no guarantees ever, but I think this gives us a better chance, and we'll find it out.
And you left almost a year ago, right? You left June. Was it June?
August. So yeah, what is it, like 9 months now? Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't even know how the election was going to go at that point. And, I'm not saying that that is the reason that you left, but it is, it's kind of, when you
It wasn't a non-factor, I'll tell you that. It wasn't a
right.
non-factor.
Like when we were talking about this right before we hit the record button, that a green card holder was pulled at Logan Airport recently and detained and tortured. And when you're talking about, you being a Haitian immigrant, that's like that could have happened to you. That
Absolutely.
We're talking about removing birthright citizenship, and, our parents came here, they had a green card, but then we're like, are we going to lose our citizenship because are we rolling this back? And I know that that's not what they're talking about right now, but it's like, guys, it's been like a month. It's been 2 months almost. And we're already at like this point. So, to give listeners a little background, Remy and I have actually known each other for at least 2 decades.
Yes, minimum.
So, when you were leaving, it was sort of like, and I think that everybody kind of had this reaction. It was a very selfish reaction of like, no, but you can't go. We don't want you to go. But then it's like now, it's very much like, no, I'm kind of glad that you guys aren't here. I'm glad that you're able to shelter your children from this.
Yeah, and there are so many tiny gifts that show up on the regular. Just here's one. It's been 9 months and there are just oodles of them. We were on a tour of the city with a couple of other families, and one kid, he must have been 9 years old. His dad is trying something. It's like, hey, yeah, try this. And he asks, is it spicy? Like, yeah, it's a little spicy. Well, is it Thai spicy? Is it Lao spicy? Is it Indian spicy? Is it, Brazil spicy? Because they've lived in all those places, and those are all very distinct, different types of spices.
They are.
Spicy, right?
Totally fair.
He is 9, and like those are the kids that our kids are playing with at the playground and getting to, exchange ideas with. Like they're still kids, right?
Right.
But no longer do I have to worry that, okay, you made really good friends with this little girl, with this little boy in the schoolyard. We come over for a play date only to find out that mom and dad absolutely cannot stand anything that I stand for, or we do not have the same ideology, the same, we can't be in the same room across the table from each other. So just removing that, because what it really came down to is the type of person generally, always generally, the type of person that would choose this life is generally not going to be xenophobic, not going to be too bigoted, really open-minded, open to change, open to, differences in other people and exploring those differences, right? Welcoming those differences and assimilating and all of that. So it's just a way better environment from that standpoint. And that's just like one of the nuggets of just, yeah, no, this is good.
As you were saying that, I just realized that your 6-year-old, who's been to at least 3 countries and who's lived in 2 of those, is the least traveled child in his class. That poor kid. You guys need to get out there more.
Some of that came up. We're sitting on the beach and watching the waves crash in Tanzania, and this other little girl is like, all right, so what cool places have you guys been to? I'm like, well, yeah, this is pretty cool. I guess we went to Maui one time, but and she's like, but like, what else? What else? Like, have you seen, what natural wonders of the world have you seen? And I'm like, kid.
This is as cool as it gets for me.
It's so wild to think about like the United States being this like such a big place. The 3 of us were very fortunate to like grow up in this place that like is very diverse and has a lot of different cultures, and you really get to know a lot of different types of people. But then you have people like in the middle of the country who have never seen the ocean. That's wild to me. Like, the ocean is such a big part of me and who I am and where I've spent time and my memories. And then to like think about like people have never seen the ocean.
The ocean's such an integral part of my identity that it is literally the basis for my company brand. It's like when I was like trying to describe what I wanted for like a logo and brand colors, I was like, think about the Atlantic Ocean and like the different blues that the ocean makes. And I was like, that's it. So it's just so funny. You're right. Remy, one thing that you said earlier that stuck out for me was that you were 5, you were going to school and you were just learning English. And you're right, because you had just arrived in the country. But I had the same experience having lived in this country because I lived in such an insular community that I didn't know English until I started school. But I had a very different experience because I was in this bicultural community. The school I went to was prepared for that, and the school had set it up so that students like me would assimilate into American culture slowly over time, whereas you both feet jump into the cold end of the pool.
Yes and no. At that time, there was still, I think, ESL classes. So we did spend quite a bit of time 50-50 up until maybe grade 3. And, stop me if this sounds familiar, but here go these immigrant children that test through the roof, and now we've got to put you in special classes, and that's no longer available in your home language. So then for sure, you got to go to a new school. Actually, they don't have the academic rigor at this school that offered the ESL programs or immersion kind of thing. So I had to switch schools a lot for that same reason. So then you kind of got pulled out of that little comfort zone when I was making friends and it wasn't so unfamiliar. And then immediately you went from being a kid to the Haitian kid and all the little other stereotypes and nicknames and being the butt of the jokes that folks would come up with just because they didn't know. And that was quite a transition. I don't wish that on anyone, but you go through it. And then fast forward now, the biggest transition that we're trying to have for our kids is y'all need to learn football, because that's, if you're going to make friends in the schoolyard, soccer, sure. Like you got to learn this game. You got to pick it up so you can like.
We're Portuguese. We're a football crowd.
But our listeners might not be.
For the listeners, we are talking about soccer. We joke around about that with our kids, like in the backyard. We'll put a ball down and we'll be like, start kicking it because you're European, like you're Portuguese. You got to figure out this whole football thing.
Yeah, I mean, part of it feels like, hey, this is unfair, man. Because I'm seeing my kid, and he's tall for his age. So he gets out there. He got his nose busted one time. Because, the ball came right at him. He didn't really know what to do. And I'm seeing, but here are kids a year, 2 years younger than him, headers and bicycle kicks. I'm like, dude, wait, hold on. This kid's been playing since he could walk. Oh, yeah. We grew up very, very differently.
So you're not going to have the next soccer star, but maybe.
And that's fine. You know what? Just enough to get by. Assimilate a little bit. He's taken to swimming and cycling, and I'm A-okay with that.
That's not surprising considering who his dad is. For listeners, Remy is an avid athlete, swimmer, cycler. What else you got?
Running. It's just the whole triathlon package. Yeah. That's a good time.
I'm curious what your experience is in the school system since your kids are going to school in a different country. What is that like?
Well, yeah.
Does it feel really different?
It really does. It really, really does. There is, and this is not a shade because I think we did absolutely luck out with the school that our daughter had gone to in the States, where the teachers, they communicated pretty well, but the district continued to make some decisions that was like, what, this doesn't really line up. And no place is perfect. No one is perfect. There are still some things that they do here that like, well, is that the best way? But the onboarding process is fantastic. if there was a piece of information that I didn't have, it was my fault. You know what I mean? Like there was just so much available, and the extracurriculars is probably the thing that took it over the top. You'll get there soon, sooner
Do
than
you guys
later,
get
Leslie.
charged for extracurriculars?
Yeah, I get charged the big fat
Yeah,
zero.
because that's a big thing here is how expensive extracurriculars are. And if you're not in a position financially, then your kids really miss out on getting to grow their interests or getting even to find out what their interests are. But like my kids have been in music since they were like 6 months old, right? And shout out to Music Together if anybody is curious what babies could do music together. And it costs an arm and a leg.
Right.
We're in a position where we can pay for it, and my kids love it. But the way I've seen, and particularly my daughter, because now she's kind of at the end of the age for that. But the way I've seen her grow and become more confident because she's been attending this extracurricular and is phenomenal. And it's like that should be available to all kids. And it's just not a
Well,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, we
And,
didn't grow up with
really just
extracurriculars. Did you, Remy?
Did you do extracurriculars?
not in nearly the same kind of sense or scale. Two sides of that where one, I mean, let's just be real, we're immigrants, right? So sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but in our household, they did not really want us fraternizing with the American kids. They felt like that they were a bad influence, and, fair enough. So that was one half of it. And the other bit was it had to be very specific extracurriculars. So I did debate team. I did public declamation. I was allowed to get into student council and pre-engineering, that kind of stuff.
The only extracurricular I was allowed to have was a job.
Right. How is this going to help you earn a living?
And there was a lot of distrust to American families. Even I notice it in the way that I talk. Sometimes I'll see something or I'll hear something and I'm like, oh, the Americans are at it again. Like as if I am not a part of that definition, or is like as if I'm not married to an American.
There are things that happen in life where you're like, that's white people shit. That is not relevant to my life. That's white people shit. It just happens.
Sleepovers. That wasn't a thing. But, here I am, and also married to an American. I accidentally had a sleepover when I was like 15 because I couldn't get a ride back home. It got late, and the person who was giving me a ride, their car wouldn't start, and I was sweating bullets like, who's gonna dude? Versus my 5 and 7-year-old have had numerous sleepovers already, and I'm like, what are we doing? Have I become what I was always told to avoid? Well, no.
Funny enough, there's a change now where parents are not allowing sleepovers. It's trending the other way now. There's a whole big conversation about, do you allow sleepovers, or they call it something else, but basically your kid can stay there until bedtime and then you go get them. Or you can drop them off early in the morning for breakfast with their friend, but they don't do the overnight. A lot of parents are nixing the overnight.
Then. For sure. And I mean, that was just not something that was for similar reasons. We just hadn't had the rapport with enough folks to know in the States. And then the other bit of it was like, okay, the first time it happened was because we were going out with the other parents. And not to jump ahead too far, but we didn't just have, hey, your big sister is going to be, like, we had a professional.
Mm-hmm.
A professional who was, vetted and background checked and everything, that had spent enough time with our kids and with their kids, and like, okay, cool, this makes sense, let's try it out. And hey, this was kind of nice. This was okay. We could have a night out, and, then this was all right. So to then try it again, I mean, childcare for the evening in the States would have broken us. We do that once a year.
I can tell you what childcare costs right now in this area, and you lived in a similar area, but you're running about between 25 and 30 an hour in this area. I know, I was talking to some friends who live south of Boston, and they said it's about 20 to 25.
And what's crazy too is a lot of people who are doing childcare are like teachers who are like certified, and like on the teacher end, like $35 an hour is not that much for like having the education that you do to do your work. It's just broken on all of the sides.
Yeah, well, the alternative that I had heard from a colleague of mine, he had 4 kids, and at that point, it made more sense for them to hire a live-in au pair.
I've heard that.
And yeah, and that's like, dude, that's so over the top. And yes, looking at, childcare, pickups, drop-offs, all the other stuff, like, yeah, that is the cost-saving air quote move, but it's not cheap because you also need to have a room for them to live in, a car for them to drive, and like all these other things. It's like, no, we don't got it. We don't got it.
Yeah, we've hired sitters that are au pairs, and they take side sitting jobs to make just as much money as they possibly can in the year that they're here. But they did say, like, room, car. One of them had to have a gym membership as part of her contract.
To that point, though, it is a good job. Like if you talk to some folks that like look down at, oh, nannies and housekeepers, and it's a good job and well respected and a fine path everywhere else. So like the confluence of situations that all came together, whether it was the childcare and the housing and how much we were working to try to make all that fit and still be tired and frankly do the best we can as 2 educated professionals and still feel broke. Like it didn't make sense, like especially throwing in the ballet and the gymnastics and the swim classes and all that stuff for our kids. It was like that everything we're earning is going towards that. There wasn't much left to just kick back and relax. If it wasn't going there, it was, dang it, the fence got knocked down in the last storm. We need new windows, or like the radiators. What are we doing?
That's the situation we're in now. This winter, we realized that we need new windows, and we're now at a point where we're like, we can't really afford to replace these windows, but if we don't, we're going to keep paying such high heating bills that we can't afford to save for new windows. So you really do get stuck between like a rock and a hard place with a lot of these things. And that's kind of the life that we're living now.
That was the biggest cultural thing, too, for me, going back to the Azores earlier this year and coming back. It's this whole vibe of like, we work to live, not live to work. And I think it's backwards in the US of everything is so rushed and you have to get this. And there's this constant urgency of like, you have to go fast to beat capitalism. And when you go somewhere else, it's just slower. There's not this like sense of urgency of you have to get things done. It's like, let's actually like enjoy our lives. Yes, we have to work, we have to make money, but we can also go for a walk after dinner and not be exhausted. We have money to do X, Y, Z. And so that was for me what the biggest shift was in cultures, like going back this year.
Yeah, and what are you spending it on, right? Like, where is it going? Because if it's just going to the
going back to the
essentials.
Or the heating bill. Remy and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, that rush, like when 5 o'clock hits, how companies will guilt you into staying longer. Like, why are you getting up and running? But that is the culture everywhere else.
They're looking at their watch at 4:59, waiting for that minute to turn.
Like, your boss comes over at 4:59. You're like, hold up, I'm off the clock. And the boss is like, yeah, all right, let's go.
All the way around, and just seeing very fruitful and bountiful livelihoods, right? Like people who are just like, yep, I might wake up early, but I wake up at 5, I go out, cast my nets, I do my thing, I bring back my haul, and it's like 10, I've cut them, gutted them, and I'm hanging out by noon. That's a day. I'm back with my family. I'm back to, should you choose to do something else? Great. But a lot of folks are like that. I think that's the other thing. The ability to sustain yourself with one job. Like if you're a professional, why do we all need a side gig Why do we also need to moonlight doing this other thing? Like the ability to just do the one thing and then the rest of the time is yours. Like it hadn't been. It was going back to the same. I was feeling like my parents. I was, okay, I'm working during the day and then I'm coaching, and I was in the very early stages of video production and trying to dabble over there. And it was a whole shift to like, okay, can I bet on myself and do one job and do okay with one job?
Yeah, and I noticed you can see it. You're working a lot less now, and you're living a much more fulfilled life. I can see it. I can hear it in your voice. You definitely look more relaxed and happy.
I think it's thank you. And it's like spread out through all of us, right? Like it radiates through all of us, just some of these stresses that don't exist. The number of times that I've had to, like, no, daddy's cooking right now because after school, hey, we can only stay at the playground for so long because we got to get home to make dinner. Nope. Well, I got to get back onto, like, obviously there's work to be done, and being in a different time zone with a number of my clients, sure, there are still some challenges. That is what it is. But holy, buddy, you want to stay at the playground, all afternoon? That's fine. Like, you're a kid. Be a kid. Let's go. We want to go to the park? Great. Let's do that. We can make time for all these things. Like, we'll have, and I love this that our school does, every morning they'll do morning miles. And it's not like, oh, wait, I have to drop off and get going immediately. Like, cool, we can hang out. I can do a couple of laps around the track with you. This is great. Whatever you want to do after school. We have a standing tradition on Wednesdays because even from the teacher side, the teachers are well taken care of. They have professional time, planning time every Wednesday.
Wow.
So our kids are out at 2. Yeah, every Wednesday is an early day. So I just figured, great. Well, every Wednesday, let's go out for some gelato. Let's go to this arcade. Let's go get some baklava. Like, every week we get to do a special thing versus what it used to be was like, sorry, daddy's working. Daddy can't come to Hershey Park with us because daddy's working. Daddy can't come. Yeah, daddy's working. Nah, daddy's here now. It's great.
Yeah, that's really great. It's been one of the benefits to starting my own business. I noticed it actually earlier this week. It's starting to get warm here now. After school, me and my son go pick up my daughter and another little boy she's friends with at school. They just like run in circles around the pickup area. And in the past, it would have been like, I gotta go. I gotta get back to work. Let's go. And now it's just sort of like, I don't book anything for the after school hours, basically until my husband comes home from work. So we have, like this 4-hour block that we do whatever we want. And I just couldn't do that when I was working a 9 to 5.
We were hanging out with another family a while ago. Just one of the things that you adjust to living in Ethiopia, in a lot of other places really, is like sometimes the power goes out. Like, there's a generator, it'll kick back on and whatever, but the power goes out, which to me isn't too different from less frequent than when we lived in our little forest cove, because like a strong breeze would like take a power line out, so whatever. But I remember then, like, the power goes out, our kids, and now they're so like chill and calm because it's a semi-regular occurrence. But they were playing a video game and I was hanging out with their dad playing chess, and the power went out, and I was like, oh, look, kids, we can still continue our chess tabletop board game without electricity for 2 minutes. It's going to be cool.
Your experiences here in the US versus your experiences there in Ethiopia, obviously very different. Your kids' experiences, they're living a very different life. When you were talking about school, you know what I was thinking of? They'll never experience a shooting drill.
Yeah. And that was, I think they go through the lockdown procedures and fire drills and all that other stuff because it's just good practice, but it's like, it's just not a thing. It's not a thing. And it always kind of like, here's a little tidbit. I recall so many people asking us like, oh my gosh, is it safe? what's it going to be like? Is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? We came to the States for Christmas, and the day we were flying out, there was a school shooting in Wisconsin. And I'm like, buddy. And then subsequent things in Louisiana and so on and so forth. I'm like, yeah, and I get that, okay, some folks can rationalize that, right, you're going to Boston. Boston to Wisconsin is hundreds of miles away. It wouldn't even know. But for like, that makes sense, but they won't make sense of the fact that, okay, from where we are in Addis Ababa to the Oromo border, where there is conflict, is also like, how big do you think this country is? Like the size of Rhode Island, bro? Like this place is huge. Like there's a track I've been trying to get to, this like clay, like packed in dirt outdoor stadium where it's not just a oval track, but like all sorts of loops that you can run around. I haven't been able to go there because it's like 2 hours driving from here to get to it. Like it's a big country, man.
Yeah.
It's a big city. So just like some of those things keep coming up. That's like, oh my gosh, well, what is that? And I don't know what else to say to help dispel it, which is kind of one of the reasons I transitioned my YouTube channel to really focusing on here's what day-to-day life is like. Here are the things. And the number of comments from folks stateside that's like, wait a second. They have electric cars and running water? Like, wait, you're a part? Yeah.
They also have
the best coffee.
I know.
Just stunned to see like street lights and paved and like people are clothed. Like, yeah, it's a major city, dude.
We have a friend who's also going to be guest appearing on this podcast who did some work as a stand-up comedian. He is African and he has an amazing joke about Africans tricking Americans into believing that they're just walk around naked or partially clothed. And if I can find that the clip about that, I'm gonna post it because it was hilarious and he's a funny dude.
This is no shade, no knock. I understand it. We're the ones who moved. That said, there are a lot of folks that you just lose touch with by virtue of not being in close proximity. The number one messaging app in the world, they refuse to install it. Everyone communicates on WhatsApp, literally everywhere else, but they will not install it. I won't do this and that. Like, dude, you installed Temu in a heartbeat, but to stay in touch with, like, it is what it is. Again, I get it. We're the ones who move. Fine.
Yeah.
But it has been interesting to keep, it's thinned the herd, I guess. And we've gotten closer with some other people that maybe you weren't so tight with before. So those dynamics changed a little bit. And some folks that, really make the effort. It's like, wow, I'm so glad to have you in my life still. And others, it's like, I guess we have nothing to talk about if we're not bitching over gas prices, huh? I guess we have nothing else to talk about if we're not, complaining about snow. I don't know.
I mean, I'll still complain to you about snow if you want. We spoke the other day, I was in the car and I was driving to Dunkin' Donuts because I live in the Boston area. That's the reason I was going to Dunkin'. And I was ordering an iced coffee. I was saying to Remy, like, I'm doing a really Boston thing. Like, my hair's up in like the top knot. I'm wearing sweatpants and I'm ordering an iced coffee in 30-degree weather. And he was like, I ordered an iced coffee in 30-degree weather. And then he's like, oh, wait, we're talking different metrics here. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm like heated seat on, you're sitting on a beach. Like we had to do a little mental math to figure out what.
Yeah, a little Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. But all that's just been interesting. And I think one other nugget, I'll let you guys chew on this one. So we started with like, oh, hey, you're an immigrant twice over. Funny thing though, when you go into the States, you immigrate to the States. When you leave the States, you're an expat.
Yep. We talk about that in one of our episodes.
It's sexy now. And that's like sure, there are some differences in the reasons why you would do one versus the other, but like
You're never an
as
expat
an
in the
immigrant,
US.
yeah, it's just hilarious to me. You are never, for whatever reason, you come there like, oh no, I'm a student studying. Da, da, da. No, you're an immigrant.
Or
Amazing.
I'm a neurosurgeon and I was brought here because I'm the top of my
Uh-huh.
industry. And they're like, oh, cool, an immigrant.
Yep.
And it's done
Yep.
because the narrative about immigrants is so negative right now. It's done on purpose to knock you down a peg, which is like
Uh-huh.
insane because it discounts all of the wonderful things that immigrants are bringing to this country, like our food, our cultures, our music, our
Yeah. Like,
many
what
ways
is
of saying
wholly
things.
American? Like there's like, especially when you get to food and music and stuff, like what is wholly American? Everything has been influenced by something else. Sounds like you guys chewed on that plenty already. So
I would be really interested to ask about your experiences as a Black man in the US versus in Ethiopia now, where you're really the majority and treated as such.
night and day, night and day. We joked about it the first time that we took our kids to a playground and just the vast difference. A lot of these are kid-centered. I don't know. They kind of take over your mind space. But going to a playground in the States, I could always keep an eye. Like, I could always see where the brown kids were. Like, I know where my kids are at all times because we're generally the only ones there. Then we're at Friendship Park and it's lovely and it's like everybody, and it was totally safe. Nobody's getting away anywhere, but like there's just that natural instinct of I want to keep an eye on my kid. And I couldn't use that go-to of like, oh wait,
Where's
you
the
all
curly
have,
haired, darker skinned kid?
yeah. And it's like 50 of you running around like, oh, okay. Well, good thing that it's all fairly safe. But like even on a day-to-day, just me walking around living my life, it's very different to be walking around Billerica, Massachusetts and be very aware that you are a Black man versus I am a man, period. I'm a man here. No qualifiers, no anything else. And sure, you can see from a mile away, like as soon as I start talking, that's what really gives me away. It's either how I dress or how I talk. Folks will think like, oh, are you Nigerian? Are you like, kind of boisterous, kind of, bright colors and stuff like that. But it's all, hey, welcome, brother. Come on over here. I've had some experiences I didn't realize I was meeting this person at one of the fanciest hotels in Addis Ababa, but I walked in wearing shorts and a t-shirt and sandals. Like, there's no way I get into, a fancy hotel in Boston dressed like that. No way. Versus like they were waiting on, do you need any more water? Oh, you have your laptop. Do you need to charge anything? Da da da. Take a look at the menu. Like it was just, you're just a dude. And I think that in essence is what we're all kind of looking for. Like, I just want to be when you can just live and not have to go against the grain. You see it in teenagers, right? Like they all kind of conform to what the cool kids are doing because they just want to be, they just want to belong. And finally finding that sense of belong. Like, yeah, sure, you can stand out if you want to, but on my day-to-day life, I don't want that smoke, man. I just I want to wake up, do my job, be with my kids, come home to my wife, you know, repeat it all over again, take some nice vacations in between, live life comfortably and not look over my shoulder. Who's following me? What description do I fit? Who's being profiled now and whatever. It's easy. And to like the last point, my blood pressure has never been so well regulated. Just like the medication I used to have to take to manage that stuff in the States and, the stressors of all that. And you take so many of these little things away. It's like, man, no, we're just good. The weather helps. Not gonna lie. The weather helps, but
The relaxing on the beach helps. I feel like every time I reach out to you, you're like on a little vacation or you're about to go on a vacation. Like every time I reach out to you, which is like amazing and great. And I'm so happy for you and I'm so jealous.
yeah, and it's risky, right? kind of bookend with this that it always seems scary until you get into it, right? Like I think about when I started running and getting into marathons, right? And it felt like, oh my gosh, this is this crazy thing you're about to do. But then you get into the arena and then you meet more people who do it and you get more resources and it seems more attainable, then it's comfortable, then it's easy, than like 9 marathons later, a couple of triathlons. And it's just like, yeah, it's no big deal. So then to transition to this digital nomad, independent business owner, like that's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts because you don't know anybody in that space. I take that dive and then you start to meet people, you start to get these resources. And that's one of those things that makes it the day-to-day honestly feels like a vacation. The day-to-day feels like I'm just chilling at a cafe because, yeah, I'm not too stressed about, I mean, there are difficulties. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Filing our taxes is interesting. But, like it's, you just get the hang of it and you'll never know until you take that dive. And I'm so glad that, we did that and gaining more resources and getting more comfortable, more familiar with it by the day.
Great. Yeah.
That's so exciting. It's really nice to hear an update on your life and hear how well you guys are doing. And it also helps me dream about moving.
We should move to the Azores.
Team, get the hell out. So.
All else fails, the Portuguese embassy, I tell Mark, I send your husband photos all the time. Every time I ride by it, I'm like, dude, I don't know what it takes to be the Portuguese ambassador to Ethiopia, but the office is right here.
I know. I'm pushing him to get his Portuguese citizenship because me and the kids are Portuguese citizens and he just needs to learn the language and then he can get his citizenship. So feel free to encourage him to do that.
Got it.
All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up. Thank you so much, Remy, for coming on and being our first ever guest on Unapologetically First Gen. I want to ask one last question, which is, what does it mean to be unapologetically you?
No filter, no compromise. It is, I now literally wear my nationality on me. I've got a huge Nagmawa. It's the symbol of the Haitian Revolution on my calf. And I love telling people about it because it's large. And what is that? What's that mean? It's colorful, and I will stop and tell everyone about it. I love talking about Haiti's history. Always, whatever apartment, house, condo, wherever I am, one of the first things I will hang is my flag and make sure that my kids know who their dad is, and they are also learning the language. They're taking French in school, and I'll, give them their morning instructions in Creole and make sure that they have access to that and just know a little bit about who they are so they too can be unfiltered and unapologetically and proud of being Haitian, like just being scarred in the 4th and 5th grade with all the nasty things I heard. People who didn't know where Haiti was on a map had such strong opinions about the country and the people. And that sticks with me. So whenever I can and however I can, I will be sure to pass that on.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And until next time. If this episode resonated with you or you have your own first gen stories to share, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Stacey Braga Copy or Streamline with Leslie on both Threads and Instagram, linked in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with someone who'd love it. Until next time, keep embracing your roots and making your own path.